Welcome to A Scottish Ghost Story, A Day, Series 1, Castle Ghosts, brought to you by bagtownclans.com, the podcast that explores Scotland's most spine-tingling tales of the supernatural. I'm your host, Derek McDonald. Today, we travel to the west coast of Scotland, to the shores of Loch Creran, just north of Oban, where an imposing 17th century tower house stands, Barcaldine Castle. Known for its breathtaking views of the snow-capped Glencoe mountains, the castle also harbours a dark, chilling history. Within its ancient walls roams the restless spirit of a betrayed brother, Donald Campbell. His ghost, filled with rage and sorrow, is said to haunt the halls of Barcaldine Castle, making his presence known to those brave enough to stay. Barcaldine Castle, sometimes referred to as the Black Castle due to the dark stone used in its construction, was built between 1601 and 1609 by Duncan Campbell of Glenorchy. It was a time of political unrest, clan rivalries, and brutal power struggles that defined the Scottish Highlands. In the late 17th century, this once thriving fortress bore witness to one of the most notorious events in Scottish history, the Massacre of Glencoe, a bloody conflict that would sow the seeds of an unforgettable tragedy. The tale of Barcaldine's haunting centres on two brothers, Duncan and Donald Campbell, whose fates were intertwined with betrayal. During the chaos of the Massacre of Glencoe in 1692, Donald Campbell was murdered in cold blood by a man named Stewart of Appin, a sworn enemy of the Campbell clan. Stewart didn't just slay Donald, he used his own sword to carry out the brutal deed, an act that forever sealed his treachery. But the real twist comes after the murder. Stewart, desperate to evade retribution, sought refuge at Barcaldine Castle. Unbeknownst to Duncan Campbell, the laird of the castle, he was harbouring his brother's murderer. Oblivious to the dark truth, Duncan extended hospitality to Stewart, offering him shelter and food, as was the custom of Highland hospitality. All the while, the ghost of Donald Campbell, filled with fury and anguish, followed his killer back to the very castle where he should have been safe. He returned not just to haunt his murderer, but to chastise his own brother, for unknowingly providing protection to the man who had taken his life. Duncan, at first, could not understand the torment his brother's spirit inflicted upon him. Night after night, Donald's ghost appeared, full of sorrow and rage, trying to communicate the betrayal that had unfolded under his own roof. By the time Duncan finally learned of his brother's murder and Stewart's guilt, it was too late. Stewart had fled once again, escaping justice. But Donald's spirit did not rest. For centuries, guests of Barcaldine Castle have reported eerie encounters with Donald's restless ghost. Many of these occurrences centre around the infamous Caithness Room. This particular guest room has gained notoriety for its supernatural activity. Visitors sleeping on the right side of the bed often speak of a sudden, inexplicable pressure on their backs or legs, as if someone, or something, were sitting on them. Others have claimed to see strange orbs of light floating around the room, glowing faintly in the darkness, and vanishing just as quickly as they appear. Those sensitive to the paranormal speak of a heavy, chilling presence, especially in the great hall, where the air seems thick with unresolved anguish. Photographs taken by visitors sometimes reveal mysterious bluish outlines or misty shapes near the large black chair in the corner of the great hall. Some claim to see a spectral figure sitting in that chair, perhaps Donald himself, forever watching, waiting for justice that will never come. Donald's ghost is not one of a peaceful spirit passing gently through time. His is a tale of vengeance, of unfinished business. His haunting of Barcaldine Castle seems to be driven by both sorrow and fury, a relentless search for justice, not just for himself, but for the betrayal his brother unknowingly committed. It is said that his presence lingers most strongly during the stormy nights, when the winds off Loch Creran howl through the old stone walls, mirroring his tortured wails that echo through the corridors. Some even believe that Donald's hauntings are a form of punishment for Duncan, who, despite being innocent of any intentional wrongdoing, failed to protect his brother in death. The ghostly pressure on guests in the Caithness Room, the cold draughts, and the inexplicable movements are thought to be Donald's continued way of lashing out, reminding all who stay within these walls that betrayal, even accidental, leaves a lasting mark. Barcaldine Castle may offer stunning views, luxurious guest rooms, and a romantic atmosphere, but those who seek a peaceful night may want to think twice. While the beauty of the surrounding Scottish countryside is undeniable, within the castle's cold stone walls lies the sorrow of a brother wronged, a spirit that refuses to fade, and a dark history that continues to seep into the present day. If you ever find yourself staying at Barcaldine Castle, pause for a moment as you walk through its halls. Listen to the wind as it whips across Loch Creran. Feel the chill in the air. You may just catch a glimpse of Donald Campbell's spirit, a shadow flickering in the corner of your eye, or a whisper carried on the breeze. Whatever you do, if you're staying in the Caithness Room, don't sleep on the right side of the bed. Thank you for joining me on this episode of A Scottish Ghost Story a Day. Barcaldine Castle may be a stunning retreat, but it is also home to one of Scotland's most enduring ghost stories. Until next time, I'm Derek McDonald. Stay curious and stay safe.